Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mikan Hana, joined by my co-host.
I'm the co-host, Caliban. I'm also the noob. 75%, baby!
What is 75%?
We're 3/4 of the way through.
Are we really?
125.
Oh my god. And we're a couple of magical people ready to moon cosmic power make up this episode. Wow, I hadn't realized.
Yeah.
Quarter of the way through.
That's real.
So, okay.
3/4.
3/4. Yeah, you're right.
75 cents.
Okay. All right. Today we are talking about episode number 125, Kagayaku Ryusei, Satan Soshite Messiah in Japanese, The Shining Shooting Star, Saturn and the Messiah, the English translation, and the English title, Darkness, My Old Friend. I know.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing other than just doing what I am doing, which is, song titles are clever.
I know.
Peek behind the curtain, everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're doing. The thing is that they get paid a lot of money to come up with clever titles. He says unironically. But, 75% of the way through, I guess they're owed one at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
takes away mine.
Should we say the obvious that this is most likely named after Hello Darkness, My Old Friend, the Simon and Garfunkel?
Sounds of Silence.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But the Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah. Do you think the clever white person wrote that down and then it went up in final draft and they were like, I've made a huge mistake?
I kind of wish that they had.
Okay. It's possible. It is possible, but we don't have time to talk about it.
No.
We have so much that we have to get into. So many great things that we're just not going to be able to cover. We're not going to be able to talk about my new, different squeaky chair.
Sorry.
Apparently my butt just makes chairs squeak. Aww. Do with that what you will. We can't talk about the great George Michael parody that I came up with, Pharoah 90. Not going to be able to go through that.
Oh my God,
we also
that's
won't be able to
amazing.
go through Saban Evangelion.
Saban Evangelion.
Yeah, my great idea for now we got Saban Moon. Where's Saban Evangelion?
And it's like live action and
come on,
animated.
Pen.
Oh my God.
It's just a man in a costume.
I love it.
We can't talk about the fact that I spoiled the next season of this stupid show for myself because I just wanted to watch a YouTube video. This guy's going to a Sailor Moon museum, and I'm like, I'll just check this out. And he's like, there's this. Here's the dead moon. I'm like, dead moon? What did you spoil something for me? I got 8 minutes in. I can't do anything. People don't understand.
I know.
People don't understand. I know it's the premise of this show, but the prison that I live in.
Well, it's so hard. It's so hard. And you're like...
I can't wait till when we hit 200. I don't know what we're going to do. I throw a party, I guess. But then I'm going to have a 5-hour-long show where I just rant about all this stuff. All the times that I had to not see this. And people go, check this out. I'm like, I don't think I can. Just the fear that I'm living in. It's going to be a Toni Braxton song by the time we're done. She's got songs where you're like, getting out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, get out. Making my way downtown. That's not her. But you know what I'm saying. We don't have time for any of that.
No.
Come on, Steven, get in the robot.
Yeah, Stevie? What about Stevie? I don't know. Anyway.
Stevie, you shouldn't run away. What about the dance?
There'd be a dance, of course. There'd be an obligatory dance. Because there was one in Saban Moon.
Hey, Asuka, can I borrow your lipstick? No, Shinji, ooh.
You're gross. Can you retell what happens in today's episode?
I could never retell.
Okay.
I could only hope to recount.
That's what I meant.
I don't know what the difference is.
Not retell.
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah.
Like a skald of old, I will try to tell the epic tale of what happens in this episode.
All right.
It opens on a scene of almost Cocteauesque symbolism.
What?
Against a dark swirling background, we see a shining point of light with rays tracing out from it. Mm-hmm. This is a human soul.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think.
I'd have to watch Beauty and the Beast again, but the Cocteau one. And as we hear Hotaru's voice say, "I'm sorry, Chibiusa. I'm so sorry," the point of light recedes until it disappears. And the scene is replaced by the eyes of Mistress Nine.
Yes.
The black star on her head flashes, and she says, "Finally, she's gone." And she laughs. Did you hear that gulping sound? I think she just ate Hotaru's soul.
I think so too.
I'll swallow your soul!
I want to make a cinema note here very quickly. We see this shot, this close-up of Mistress Nine's eyes. And eye close-ups, they're nothing unique in anime or really cinema. But this really reminded me of some iconic eye shots from earlier films.
Okay.
Remember way back when I talked about Theta Bara and the idea of the vamp in cinema. Theta Bara was known for her gaze. She was supposed to be like part Egyptian. I think we established that she was from Ohio or something like that.
Yes, I think so.
And she had the very heavily cold eyes, Koal.
Yes.
And that hypnotic stare. This reminded me kind of that. Also, that Liz Taylor was known for her eyes as well as her other features. And she was said to have violet eyes.
Oh.
And guess what color Mistress Nine's eyes are?
They're purple.
They're violet.
Well,
yes.
violet.
Actually, this color, if you look it up on the internet, is called eminence.
They're so okay.
By Calvin Klein.
I'm glad that you brought this up because this is another color thing. Because it's like sometimes they look purple and sometimes they look like they're black. But that's probably done on purpose.
Yeah, I think the Mistress Nine version, though, is definitely the Liz Taylor eyes. Another set of eyes that it reminds me of, especially the sadness in those eyes, are the eyes of Anna Karenina, who's a Danish and French actress, muse of French director Jean-Luc Godard. And speaking of French directors, earlier I used the adjective Cocteauesque, which is, of course, in reference to French surrealist filmmaker Jean Cocteau. The song that we play when we go to Club Silencio is, of course, a goth rock number by the band Cocteau Twins.
What?
The name of that song is Persephone. Persephone was a goddess who was kidnapped and forced to stay in hell, another world, or dimension, if you will, to become the mistress of Hades, or hell, a world with 9 levels. There is no bottom to this.
Yes.
This show and I have been weaving a spell on you for 35 episodes, and you are now under our sway.
Yes.
You can't look at my board. Stop looking at my board with all the strings on it. In the ruined basement of Mugen Academy, Sailor Moon calls out Hotaru, but Sailor Uranus says, "Stop it! She's not Hotaru anymore!" Not Hotaru laughs and says, "Hotaru Tomoe died just now." I guess it was Hotaru's soul. Usagi says, "That's a lie! They're lying to us!" But M9 laughs again and gestures to the huge starry dome before her, saying, "The immense power from the Tau system is the master of the Deathbusters, Pharaoh 90, the ruler of silence." Everybody all caught up in the plot now? I said silence! Once I have the Holy Grail, the Age of Silence will begin. Did you ever play the Age of Silence when you were on long car trips with your sisters? That worked so well on me and my sister. We were so competitive. We were smart. Even when we figured out the ulterior motive for this game, we'd still play it. But as soon as somebody won, we'd be twice as loud.
Of course.
To make up for lost time. Or should I say, as soon as someone lost. Well, anyway, Sailor Uranus wastes no time by firing a world shaking, and Neptune follows up with a deep submerge. The two attacks combine into a deep world submerge shaking and fly towards Mistress Nine, but Sailor Moon throws herself in the way.
I know.
Not supposed to do that.
No.
Taking the full brunt of the attacks and sailing backwards into M9, but she bounces off her like she's made of stone. Mistress, you been working out? You're pretty swole.
Oh my goodness.
They call her the Wall.
Oh,
you can't move her.
Well, I could knock her over.
Dad, I'm telling you, you can't.
Mistress Nine's eyes glow red and she becomes cast in shadow as tendrils of black hair wind their way around the outer senshi, ensnaring them as the Bayonetta theme begins playing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which I was like, what is the Bayonetta theme? Arguably, it's "Fly me to the moon! Moon, you are all caught in this spell." Uranus and Neptune are hoisted into the air by the hair tentacles, and become embedded into the leg of a giant statue that forms out of the hair. Hey, it's an anime.
Whatever.
Bayonetta's like, I don't know about this. The statue is familiar. It's a winged woman with a star on her chest, wielding a giant crazy straw scythe. Mm-hmm. Seen that before.
Yeah.
We still don't really know what it means.
No.
Sailor Moon gapes in disbelief, and M9 says, hand over the Holy Grail or the Indigo Girls get it. And to punctuate her point, 2 tendrils of hair wrap around the outer's throats, throttling them. Sailor Moon looks distraught, but Neptune says, if you hand over the Grail, I'll despise you. Mm-hmm. Shame on you.
Yes.
That's an Indigo Girls song.
Is it?
In response to this, Sailor Moon does the Sailor Moon redraw meme. We did it!
Woo!
Mission accomplished. Minute 408 of episode 125.
Yes.
Shut it down. Shut it all down.
When Neptune says she despises you, you make that face.
I can't draw, so my recap and retelling of this episode is my entry into the Sailor Moon redraw.
Perfect.
I will draw with my tongue.
Aw, that's perfect.
As M9 laughs, Sailor Moon rises, and as Uranus screams, don't do it! She begins to manifest the cup in her hands. Oh, she did it! Uh-huh. Mistress 9 is a big fan of this. Mm-hmm. But leaning weakly against the wall of the chamber is Professor Tomoe.
Yes.
Who says, Hotaru. And Usagi says, Hotaru's father? I'm not sure if she ever caught his name.
I don't know that she did.
I don't know if she was ever introduced. Oh, thank God, it's you.
She could call him Mr. Tomoe or Professor Tomoe.
Professor.
But yeah.
Tomoe staggers towards Mistress 9 saying, it's me, your father. He throws himself on her as he says, it's all my fault this happened. But Mistress 9 looks coldly at him and says, the shell of Germatroid. Get your shell hand off me, you damn dirty shell.
Yeah.
You disgust me. Being all shell-like all the time. And with a wave of her arm, a tendril of hair grabs him by the throat, lifts him up, choking him. Usagi, horrified, says, please stop, I'm begging you. Outside the building, the 4 sailor senshi still maintain their shield. The wave of ooze women inches away from their faces as they struggle to keep them in, protecting the city. Back in the basement, Tomoe is still being throttled by the hair, but a voice says, Papa, can you hear me?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And Yentl means, no, there's not. The hands of Mistress 9 tremble as she chokes out, how can this be? The hair unwinds from everybody's throat as M9 falls to the ground, sputtering, this body is rejecting me. Mm-hmm. Sailor Moon looks hopeful, but Uranus, who's still stuck in the statue, says, now, Sailor Moon! But Usagi says, no! Hotaru's still alive! Professor Tomoe crawls towards Mistress 9 and says, are you in pain, Hotaru? And she says, without the Holy Grail, I won't. And she collapses as her father says, this Holy Grail, where is it? I need 20 cc's of Holy Grail stat.
I know.
Before she can answer, we see the Cocteauesque space once again. Mm-hmm. The tiny light reappearing as M9 screams, Papa! And rises to her feet. Sailor Moon once again holds out her hands and manifests the Holy Grail as the outer senshi refuse to believe their eyes.
I know.
They cannot believe it. They cannot believe that she's doing this. Neptune says, you're not the Messiah. You have no right to do as you please with the Holy Grail.
You're no Messiah. You're a movie of the week.
And I actually yelled, F you at the TV at this point, which I'm not proud of.
Whoa!
Sailor Moon says, Hotaru is alive. She hasn't done anything wrong, and I won't accept that she has to die. At this, the Grail fully appears and casts light across the room. M9 weakly reaches for it. Her little hand's like, no, I need Grail, need Grail. And the professor walks towards Usagi, hands outstretched as she walks to him, and he says, please, for Hotaru's sake. And Usagi holds out her hands as the Grail floats from her hands to Tomoe's. Tomoe says, thank you. And he returns to his daughter. Her hand limply reaches for the cup, and as soon as it closes around it, her face curls into a sneer as light explodes throughout the room, blasting Usagi and Tomoe back. And she holds the cup up triumphantly, laughing her ass off.
I know.
Oh! Holding the now purple glowing Grail, M9 says, Sailor Moon, when Pharaoh 90 takes over, I'll let you live on as a demon host. Moon says, Hotaru, are you in there, Hotaru? But we see the tiny light once again vanish. And M9 winces as she says, there's nothing that you can do now. Defiantly, Sailor Moon says, I won't let you have this world or hurt its people. But M9 tells her, the Holy Grail is the crystallization of pure hearts that raise love, hatred, joy, anger, and sadness to their highest levels. What about Bing Bong? Oh, no! Bing Bong, no! No, I haven't seen it. M9 says, in order to defeat, well, it's got love, hatred, joy, anger. Like, what are we doing here, right?
I
It's
know.
just inside out.
You're right.
Wait a minute.
It's
So
like
wait,
everything.
we're going to talk about that later.
Bing Bong knows what he's doing.
M9 says, in order to defeat P90X, once he assimilates the Holy Grail, you would need to create a superior heart crystal. Why am I telling you this? Oh, I'm just in a good mood, I guess. We focus in on Sailor Moon's face. And I can imagine that this helped her somehow, that this is processing in some way what she said. Mm-hmm. I can also believe that there's just hold music playing in there.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna have faith that she's
Yes.
working on a master plan. As M9 thrusts the cup into the receptacle on the evil machinery, she says, you have no hope of winning. And light explodes out of the machine. We cut outside of the building, and a giant pillar of dark energy spears up out of the dome, covering the building. Mm-hmm. The sailors are being overwhelmed by the ooze girls, and Jupiter gets bitten on the tits.
It's not good.
What the hell?
It's not. I don't know, show. What are
Bad
you
time.
doing?
What?
I don't know.
Biggest target, I guess.
Oh my god.
Anyway, bad ooze, and the building itself begins to crumble, and the rubble rises into the sky. Mm-hmm. In the basement, we see this purple energy is streaming out of the dome, and the receptacle holding the grail shatters, and the grail itself disintegrates.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. As
bad.
energy continues to blast out of the dome. And M9 says, this way, Pharaoh 90. More energy is lancing out of every direction of the dome and carving deep grooves in the floor along its path. Inside the energized dome, we see the deep space of the Tau system and a swirling red nebula growing ever larger. Mm-hmm. Back on the statue leg, or on the leg, Uranus says, look at what your altruism caused.
Yeah, I know.
But Sailor Moon holds forth her scepter and intones, Moon Cosmic Power! And blasts a huge beam of hearts straight into the glowing dome. Mm-hmm. Inside the space on the other side of the dome, we see a giant, dark, tentacled sphere advancing forward. And Sailor Moon's beam is pencil thin as it blasts into this huge object, trying to hold it back. In response, the sphere blasts a thick red beam of energy that pushes back at Sailor Moon, knocking her and her scepter in opposite directions. Mistress 9 is like, aw, if you can't do a double transformation, then you can't beat the silence. Our world is about to begin. But as she says this, the purple energy wildly begins blasting out of the dome, and M9 is transfixed by a beam, which melts a trench in the ground. Mm-hmm. And as the beam fades, we see Sailor Moon, arms outstretched, standing in front of Tomoe and the limp form of M9, suffering the ravages of the blast for their sake.
Yeah.
You know, someone else stood with their arms outstretched, suffering ravages for our sake.
Oh my gosh, you were so right.
Scott Stapp. It was Scott Stapp. Sailor Moon drops to her knees, panting and weak, but ready for another blast, if that's what it takes. Mm-hmm. Outside on the streets, energy continues to pour out of the building and into the sky, and a cyclone begins to form around the building. Oh, great! Buffeting the Senshi with dark winds and cracking the very pavement they're standing on and dashing their shield to pieces. In the basement, the dome has ceased spilling energy. The machines holding it have been destroyed. And we see that it's not a dome at all. The dome itself is a sphere of darkness that begins expanding out of its hole in the floor. As Sailor Moon tries to recover, Professor Tomoe can only hold his daughter as he says, Hotaru. And she says, Papa. He says, Hotaru. Papa. Hotaru. Papa. Hotaru. Papa. We get it. She's my daughter. You're my father. She's my daughter. You're my father. As we hear the tinkly good sound. Remember the tinkly good sound?
I do.
And we see the tiny light again. The voice of Hotaru says, we have to save Chibiusa. Dad, get me out of here. But Tomoe can only say, I don't know how, I'm sorry. If only we could go back to those days. And he sheds a tear as he remembers Hotaru as a small girl, holding her in his arms, seeing her be happy, angry, tired, and sad, and gassy. Like a real little girl. As he grips her hand tightly, Mistress 9 opens her eyes, and it seems like maybe Hotaru's back? Mm-hmm. But psych! A black star appears on M9's forehead, and she shoves Tomoe away, saying, "Get away from me, you worm! You're nothing!" The black sphere continues to grow as the star disappears from M9's head, and Hotaru says, "No!" But the star reappears, and M9 clutches herself and says, "Curse you!" And you get the idea.
Yes.
She's Golluming.
She is.
In her mind's eye, the entity that is Mistress 9 sees memories of her father and her friend Chibiusa, and we see the face of Hotaru say, "I have people who are precious to me." Mm-hmm. No hurdler guy, huh? Interesting.
No hurdler guy? No.
Interesting.
No. We
Didn't
forgot
see him
all about
anywhere
him.
in there.
Yeah.
The star upon Mistress 9's brow cracks and shatters, revealing the glowing symbol of Sailor Saturn. Mm-hmm. The image of M9 seems to fray as she is torn apart, leaving only an orb emblazoned with the Saturn symbol. H for Hotaru.
Yes.
And it disappears. And Tomoe is like, should I rent out her room or... She coming back?
Yeah, what's going on here?
It's all yours, Lion. And Sailor Uranus, still in the leg, can only say, "The Senshi of Destruction is back." Mm-hmm. Back in Mamoru's apartment, he is cradling Chibiusa. Remember her?
Yeah.
And giving her his life force. And speaking of the force, he looks up and sees the ghostly form of Sailor Saturn standing before him.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, whoever that is, sure.
The cats run in just in time to see Hotaru float towards Chibiusa and say, "You'll be all right now," as she holds out her hands, and Chibiusa's heart crystal floats from them and into Chibi's body. As Chibi begins to stir, Hotaru says, "Thank you, Chibiusa. Thank you." And she fades away.
Like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Let's get our big guns off the bench into this fight.
That's right.
Swing in on a rope. Take that, Pharaoh 90. We'll see. Back again in the basement, the black sphere has reached gigantic proportions, and the outer senshi lament that they have no way now to stop the silence. Suddenly the sphere roars with the pain of birth, and the ground under Usagi and Tomoe begins to crumble, shattering the statue and freeing the senshi. The sphere erupts out of the now completely destroyed Mugen Academy and squats grimly among the ruins. Sailor Uranus says, "There's nothing we can do." And Sailor Neptune, holding her injured arm, says, "It's over, isn't it?" Uranus turns her gaze on Sailor Moon as Usagi struggles to rise, saying, "Are you satisfied, Sailor Moon? Answer me!" And she collapses in rage and pain. Mm-hmm. Before Sailor Moon can react, she hears her name being called by an ethereal voice, and she looks up to see Sailor Saturn, who says, "Thank you for protecting my body." Usagi is dumbfounded, and Professor Tomoe struggles to reach her, saying, "Hotaru!" But Hotaru says, "I am no longer Hotaru. I am the only one who can save the world from silence. Let me take care of it." Sailor Moon starts to protest, but Saturn says, "I'll have to enter the core quickly to destroy him. Even Super Sailor Moon would find it difficult. But now that Pharaoh 90 has the power of the Holy Grail, it would be impossible." Usagi says, "After he's destroyed, what happens to you?" And she says, "I'm the guardian of destruction because I have the power to destroy planets. But when I use that power..." And as she says this, she raises her hand and summons the glaive of the grave. Mm-hmm. Sailor Moon moves to stop her, but Sailor Saturn holds her at bay with her weapon and says, "Sayonara." And she leaps back. She does a backflip into the burning sphere at the heart of Pharaoh 90, which is how I'd want to go. We hear a series of attacks from inside, and we see flashes. It's kind of like when a dog and a cat get in a fight in a cartoon.
It is.
Only on a cosmic scale.
Yeah, right.
The gods of cats and dogs are fighting. Mass hysteria! And Usagi runs forward to help, but she is knocked back by the energy of the sphere. And as she sits there and watches Sailor Saturn fight, knowing that she can do nothing to affect the outcome of this battle, with tears of frustration in her eyes, she clutches her brooch and screams, "Crisis makeup!" But no power responds to her call. Again and again she screams, "Crisis makeup!" to no avail, until she begins to pound the ground in frustration, and the outer senshi can only look on as she breaks down sobbing. Just then the inner senshi, still caught up in the swirling vortex of power, seem to hear the call of their leader. And one by one they say, "Sailor Moon." as the gems on their tiaras begin to glow. Even Neptune and Uranus are affected as their gems glow. And the moon on Usagi's tiara begins to flash in many colors, seeming to unite their powers together inside of her. One last time, Usagi says, "Crisis makeup!" And she is transfigured!
Yes.
As her pure heart crystal emerges from her chest, transforming her into Super Sailor Moon. And a pair of gossamer, rainbow-colored wings emerge from her back, accompanied by a kaleidoscope of prismatic butterflies. A flock of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope.
That's amazing.
Super Sailor Moon flies towards the sphere, her heart leading the charge, and plunges into it unbarred, joining the battle inside. As she does, the cyclone dies away, and the sphere fades from existence, leaving a crater where Mugen once stood that is quickly filled with seawater from the bay. Standing, dumbfounded on the shore of this new crater, are sailors Uranus and Neptune, who remember the last words of their friend Sailor Pluto. If you meet the true Messiah. And as they contemplate the meaning of these words, a shimmer appears in the air before them. We see the inner Senshi, battered but alive, begin to rise as a cloud of rainbow butterflies descends upon the scene. The butterflies coalesce into the form of a battered but unbroken Super Sailor Moon. And as the music box version of the theme plays, we get a long, slow, non-sexual pan up
Yes.
to see in her arms a blue swaddled baby.
Yeah.
Credits!
I know.
That's how you go to credits!
That is how you go to credits.
You got the touch! Boo-doo, boo-doo.
Talk about a cliffhanger.
Yeah!
I know.
Well, I mean, there's nothing to really...
I guess.
It's like a cliff twister.
Is that still going around?
It's
the
a cliff,
cyclone?
but there's a twist, too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what? I just
What
left
happened?
like, oh, hell no! Whose show is this? I will turn you into a baby! You don't fight the bad guy without me!
Is your name on
You're a
this
baby
show?
now!
I don't think so.
So, Lisa Frank is God, I guess? She's the
Clearly.
she's the Eru Iluvatar of this bitch, is what
Yeah,
we're saying
right.
here. Okay, yeah.
I mean, clearly, yes.
You know, Saturn and Neptune pondered the meaning of Pluto's words. But
Yeah.
if I know the meaning, the
Yeah.
meaning is I'm taking 5 stickers.
You want 5?
Are you
stickers?
effing kidding me?
5.
Who was the real Messiah in this case? And
Yeah.
what's the title of this episode? Is it Saturn and the Messiah?
Yes.
Are we describing her as being Saturn and the Messiah? Or are we talking about Saturn and another person who is the Messiah?
Oh, you want 5 stickers?
We
Jesus
set this
Christ.
up earlier.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that I've been saying this since day one.
Well, I already see one I want to give you. I cheated a little bit.
All right. Well, you take your time. I'll ask some questions that don't have any answers. Here's a
Most
question.
of these are figure stickers, just so
No,
you know.
take the round ones or the square ones.
I got one that
Here's a
isn't
question
one.
for you.
Yes.
Are they ever going to take these high school tests? Wasn't that the whole point of this entire season? If they're studying for high school. At this point, you should just like.
I'm gonna just here's a spoiler.
You know what? You're good.
We're-
You get A's. You're fine.
We're not gonna see it this season. Here's
You
a
said
spoiler.
what?
It's just
So
not
first of all,
happening.
no spoilers. But second of all, yeah, I mean, like, all right. On the downside, there's a new lake in Tokyo. On the upside, we're all alive still. So, tell you what. Why don't you just go on 3 gap years in a row? We'll call it good.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, how much can these girls go through? They have gone through so much, and yet there's always more baddies to fight, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got your 5. How do you want to do this? Do you want me to hand them to you all at once or one at a time?
Hand them to me, and I will, like a real pro, reveal them bit by bit over the course
One
of the
by
rest
one.
of the show.
Okay, I'm going to put them in the order that I pulled them.
Okay. I'll tell people what the first one is. The first one, I thought I had this one already. The first one is, I still like it, is the moon stick.
Mm-hmm.
No, the moon rod.
The moon. It's the moon stick. I call it the moon stick.
Okay, it's the moon stick.
Yeah.
And it is in a ribbon. It says "Fight like a girl."
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I've got actually one of those right over here. But now I've got 2.
Now you got 2. Okay.
So more questions.
Yes.
Or maybe not less of a question, more of a comment. No, actually, this is a question. So we're even at the end. God bless you, Sailor Moon. Even at the end, we're managing to put in exposition, which literally does not matter.
No,
it will not
you're-
matter
you're-
in 2 minutes.
You're right.
But what is the crystallization of the pure hearts who experience love, hatred, joy, anger, and sadness? So the Holy Grail is somehow, we've got pure heart crystals, but the Holy Grail has a connection to whatever these crystals are. These crystals that we all carry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even the worst person, has a heart crystal.
Sure.
I can't speak for its purity, but there's something about I think this is a very Shinto thing, that there is something in all of us that is spiritual, that
Absolutely.
is higher than the base matter, the force, the force.
Right.
It's the force. It's like Yoda says on Dagobah, the force.
Right.
So there's that. And then also this actually like throws a monkey wrench in it, but it hits the monkey wrench I already put in it earlier on and knocks it out. So now it's working well, which is like, these girls are not perfect. We wouldn't want our girls to be perfect. And yet they've got some of the purest hearts in town. So clearly you don't have to be Mother Teresa to have a pure heart.
Right.
We're just talking about like your intentions and maybe your potential.
Yes.
And I like the fact that Mistress 90 says that
Mistress 9.
Or no, yeah.
You just combine their names. That's totally
I
fine.
really wanted to do that George Michael thing. Maybe we'll do it later. But that the purity of your heart has nothing to do with you being a saint. You are still going to experience love and hate and anger and fear but also hope and all the emotions that humans experience. Mm-hmm. But maybe in some of us, there's just a little more living to do than in other people. And those are the people who are, this is getting kind of Brad Bird, Incredibles, objectivist, but like maybe there's some of us that are cut out to be the sailor soldiers, or to be heroes.
Yeah.
Or to be people who protect other people.
I think so. I think some of us.
Well, then good. I got it right.
Yes. I'm not sure what
You got the touch. Sorry.
what the purest hatred is supposed to look like, but
Well, I don't think that the hatred. Yeah, I know.
it's kind of like what it's like they're throwing things out and I'm not sure everything's sticking. So yeah.
That's why Morton Downey Jr. has the purest heart of all.
I don't know who that is, but I'll take
I have no idea why I picked that person.
It's okay.
Morton Downey Jr. was a talk show host and he was a pundit before that was a thing.
Okay.
Nowadays, like, it's just performative, right? So like you'd say like, oh, Alex Jones is the angriest person on earth. No, he's not.
It's
if you made
performative,
$100,000 a day, you wouldn't be angry that this is a character that he does.
Yeah.
In truth, he doesn't care about anything. He's a complete nihilist and a plutocrat. But like Morton Downey Jr. didn't really care about a lot of stuff, but maybe he did because he got in some legal trouble later on. He was an angry guy, but he took that anger and he was like a not fun Geraldo. Whereas Geraldo would just be like, so tell me about being a transvestite, Nazi deep diver or whatever.
Right.
Because it was about spectacle. But Morton Downey Jr. was like, gonna complain about this. He's gonna complain about that. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that.
Okay.
So that's why I picked him, because that's like the last purest form of that. Now it's just all performative. Everybody who is angry about something, it doesn't matter.
Right.
They don't really believe it, but they're talking to people who pick it up and do really believe it, even though they don't understand it. And so Tucker
Or it
Carlson will
gets some
complain
attention.
about A 1 week, and the next week he complains about B, which is the opposite opinion of A, but it's become now politically, interesting and profitable to talk about the other thing. And
Right.
so yeah, there just isn't. I mean, once again, not a political show. It's always a political show. But but yeah, that's so maybe, I don't know. Like Morton Downey Jr., he's not getting into Sailor Moon heaven. Don't worry about it. You don't have to talk to him.
Okay.
But I just like the idea that I think that the purity maybe, and I think we proposed this earlier on, that it didn't translate exactly the word. We're not talking about
I feel like
saving yourself for a special someone or whatever, but it's just the purity of the spirit part of you that is not held down to this world.
Exactly it.
And that's a common idea.
With Shintoism and that belief of like, purifying yourself before you go to a shrine and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you wash your hands and you take a sip of the water and everything, and like you light some incense and you wave the smoke over your head, and like that's a way of purifying yourself. So I mean, yeah,
it's monist.
Yeah.
It's monism. The idea that there is that's a little different, but it's the idea that there is a spiritual element in everything, and that it all connects into some bigger,
Shinto.
larger thing. Yeah, Shinto's a big thing on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have a lot to get to
We do.
in the second half, so maybe we need to wrap this up. Because, God, I want to sit in it. I just want to sit in it for a little bit.
I want to sit in it too. I guess I did want to mention that, you know, Mistress 9 has super long hair, and I did want to mention, like, a lot of ghouls and ghosts in Japanese folklore and horror have really long hair.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing. And so that was definitely, I think, an aesthetic that they were kind of going for to kind of make her creepy, not greepy.
Did
what
they
is greepy?
Did they design Hotaru then to
I think so.
counter program against that?
Well, but
You want to give everybody a different haircut, and everybody's, you know, Naru's got kind of shoulder length hair, but everybody else has kind of got long hair, except for Ami. And then, so you're like, well, we haven't done a bob yet. But then also, when she turns bad, she'll have really long hair.
Well, you have to remember, these are all Nako's designs, these character designs.
Yeah,
and
she knew what she was doing.
I think, in my interpretation, this is all fan theory on my part, but I think that she has a very typical Japanese doll haircut, with the bangs and the short hair, and I think that was done on purpose, because there's a lot of Japanese dolls that are in horror and stuff like that. It's something that it looks very innocent until it doesn't.
Yeah,
and
the Ghostbusters never fought a Chinese ghost.
Well, but there's like, okay, I know, but there are
Ray, he's hopping everywhere.
right. I've read stories about like families who thought that like their daughter's spirit who passed away like went into a doll because the doll's hair grew.
Ooh, that's dumb. That sounds like I'm Aaron Mankey. This is Laura.
But
when this
but
couple
there's-
moved into this New England house,
right,
they had an unwanted visitor.
right.
It was a doll.
I know.
Push somebody down the stairs.
I know, but they thought I would talk to them and stuff like that.
Dumb. It reminds me of Vampire Princess Mew.
Okay, yes, I
Which
can
we
totally
watched
see that.
for Animedification, where she's got short hair, right?
I'm pretty sure she has a very similar haircut.
She's kind of doll-like.
Yeah.
All right, let's infantilize women. What
my
else?
gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, I was right. That's fine. I was right. Look, whose name is on this show?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, when you make a long bet and it pays off, you got to get rewarded.
Well,
And
what's
I
your
did.
next sticker?
I got rewarded. So
That's
the
the
best part
one-
is
that's the one I
The best
cheated.
part is
I cheated.
is that she's in a pose that is like, if you didn't look too closely, you'd be like, oh yeah, it's just, you know, it is Sailor Moon, or is it? No, it is Sailor Venus disguised as Sailor Moon.
Yes.
because apparently she also has a pen,
Yes.
or she just Usagi dropped hers
well,
a long time ago.
She does have a compact. It's in the manga and in Sailor V that she uses to. It's a similar idea that Nako then made the transformation pen or the disguise pen for Usagi.
Right.
But it allowed her to take on disguises and stuff like that.
So yeah, I mean, like, you know, whatever. It's debatable, but like, how far are we gonna go with this? You know, I'm right. Way to keep your mouth shut, by the way.
Okay. Do I get a sticker?
Oh, this is not how this works.
You bought those stickers
If
for
you were
for
a
me,
teacher-
and now they're for you.
If
so
you-
typical.
If you were a teacher, you'd be like, there you go, nice paper, Jimmy. And you're like, one for you, one for me, gold star.
Yes. I've gotten one sticker.
Julie, very good. You had one wrong. Very good. Gold star. You're like, one for me.
I got
Principal comes in. You're like 50 stars. You're like a Panamanian general on your shirt.
you dang right. I've gotten
can we talk?
one sticker from this podcast. And
Is that why you got into podcasting?
Yes, I got into podcasting because I was promised there'd be stickers.
Oh, me too. One thing I wanted to comment on before we move on, and that
Yes.
is, I love the fact that our girl pulls it out one more time And she does
She certainly does.
by doing, it's almost boring now how pure she is. She does it exactly, well, I mean, like Goku did this for years, but she does it by being who she is, which is to say, I'm not going to commit murder unless you're a Yoma.
Yeah,
I know they can
right.
hold jobs and they have social security numbers, but they're dead. But like, I'm gonna save everybody. That's what I do. I'm Sailor Moon. I said that before. And I've never seen any subtext played so hard and so well when Uranus, unforgiving, implacable Uranus is like, I like your altruism now. You stupid bitch.
I know.
But she was wrong. She was wrong.
She was wrong.
Because her name's not on this show.
But she stuck to her guns till the end. So.
And this show is about mercy, and it's about who you can save and not who you are taking out.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of the Lord of the Rings in that way.
Oh boy, here we go. Buckle in, everybody.
No, we don't have time to do
kidding.
that. But I just rewatched the series, the whole
Yes.
film series recently because I'm watching the show now, and the show's fine so far. I hope it's continues to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the most important things about the film is like, this is yes, they cut a lot of orcs' heads off.
Yeah.
What do you want? But this is a world where mercy and beauty are important.
Yes.
It isn't like, I'm just going to shoot you and cut your head off and we're going to beat the bad guys. It is about preserving beauty. It is about, putting the sword down and being gentle. And like I said, I hope that's what people don't get about it. That's what half the fans who are all white supremacists don't understand. I'm watching Lord of the Rings and like, it's just a bunch of guys like crying and singing and kissing each other. And like, can you imagine liking this and then being the type of person who would comment the way that some of these people do? But anyway, I think they are of kindred spirits, I think, Lord of the Rings and Sailor Moon, in that, yes, it's fun to murder a vacuum cleaner lady and kick somebody in the head. But ultimately, it's about, it's about saving people. It's about, staying your hand.
Yes.
When, an opponent is down, and about caring about everybody coming home.
Absolutely.
You got those tests to take.
Yep. Oh, God.
Take those tests. Hey, can we use the Sailor Bing Bong Doop Doop on the teacher? Sad cosmic heart attack. Knock the teacher out. It's like, all right, just give him A's.
Give them all A's. They all get A's. They save the world, so they all get A's.
Usagi uses the disguise pen to be like, I'm a school administrator, and all you girls get A's. Well, anyway, when's lunch?
Do. That's all I came here to say.
Which way's the cafeteria?
Agent Ryan?
Agent the Vern?
The Rabbit Hole podcast team has asked us to return back to the town of Twin Peaks to go over all the case files. Are you ready?
Have we been asked to cover the case files of the groundbreaking series created by David Lynch and Mark Frost?
The same one. We will be discussing in detail every episode from all 3 seasons of the show,
including the plot of every character, not just the mystery of who killed Laura Palmer.
Exactly. We'll also dive into why the show became such a phenomenon in the 90s and how it still influences shows today.
Will we discuss the feature film Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me?
That may be our longest season yet.
So check Tales from the Double R on Anchor, Spotify, Good Pods, or listen to us at rabbitholepodcasts.com.
Now, let's order some coffee and a piece of that amazing pie.
Today for Kuro Miru, or Curiously Looking Around, where you talk about elements of Japanese culture within the episode, we're going to talk about fires in Japan.
Continuing our tradition of talking about apocalyptic.
Yes.
The four horsemen of Kuro Miru.
That's right.
And in this case, it's fire. Which one's fire? All right, they don't map perfectly.
They don't map perfectly. We already said that. We established that.
If you live in a bamboo house, guess what? One of those horsemen is fire.
Yeah, pretty much. Fires in Edo during the Edo period, which was 1600 to 1868, were so frequent that the city was characterized by the saying, quote, "Fires and quarrels are the flowers of Edo."
If fires and quarrels are flowers and Edos, then we'd all have a happy Christmas.
That's right. During the 267 years between 1601 and 1867, Edo was struck by 49 great fires. That is great fires. Okay?
Oh, great.
That's not even like I think the total number of fires was somewhere closer to around 500.
And Mrs. O'Leary's cow is like, I kicked one lantern over.
Yeah, right. Everybody remembers it.
Right.
Gosh. In comparison, during the same period, great fires in Kyoto, Osaka, and Kanazawa totaled only 9, 6, and 3, respectively.
Huh.
According to other accounts, there were more than 85 major fires during the history of Edo between 1600 and 1945. Edo/Tokyo was leveled every 25 to 50 years or so by fire, earthquakes, tsunami, volcanic eruptions, and war. So there you go. Maybe it's war. I don't know. Or it's death. You decide which horseman it is.
Yeah. What was the insurance business like?
Yeah, yeah. I know. I bet business was booming. Actually, I did read, this isn't in my notes, but I did read that some businesses, it was basically like fire insurance. They prepaid the builders for wood and paper materials to rebuild their house so that when the fire came, they're already paid up and those materials were paid for. So that's kind of like an insurance.
Yeah. So we're all done. Great. See you in 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
You'll be back.
So that's depressing.
Yeah. Here at the fireworks and pipe emporium.
I know. So during the Edo period, fire was a very important element of daily life. It was used for cooking and for lighting, which in turn gave rise to accidents. Fires also spread quickly as most buildings at the time were built almost entirely out of wood and paper. And with the growing population of Edo, which rapidly grew, by the way, so people were packed very tightly together, the chonin or townspeople's houses were typically very small and built right next to each other. So if you are one of these very small places and you just have your stove, your indoor stove catches on the tatami mat and it's 6 tatami wide and it goes up in flame, it's pretty likely it's going to catch your neighbor's house, and it's who knows how far it's going to go.
Yeah.
So it's bad news. The Great Fire of Meireki in 1657 is considered to have been the most disastrous. The Great Fire of Meireki, or Meireki no Taika, also known as the Furisode Fire, destroyed 60 to 70% of the Japanese capital city of Edo on March 2nd, 1657. Huh. The fire lasted for 3 days, and it's estimated to have killed over 100,000 people. Wow. This was a huge disaster.
Wait, 100,000 people?
The population of Edo was so much at the time. Yes.
How much higher than 100,000 was it?
I think it was around, I think I read at one point it was around 800,000.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you knew somebody that died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. According to legend, the fire was started accidentally by a priest who was cremating an allegedly cursed kimono.
Sure.
The kimono had been... So this is a legend, so we don't know if this part is true or not.
I'm going to guess no.
Yeah, probably not. But allegedly, this kimono had been owned in succession by 3 teenage girls who all died before ever being able to wear it.
Oh.
So this was a bad
How'd
kimono.
they die?
I don't know.
Oh, that part's not in the story.
No, that part's not in the story.
Did a cow kick them over?
No, but when the it's up there. When the garment was being burned, a large gust of wind fanned the flames, causing the wooden temple to ignite.
Here's my chance.
Yes.
And
So
if we saw that kimono, it had flames on it.
right, it was a fiery red.
Like Guy Fieri's shirt.
Oh my god, no!
Oh my God.
Oh
Guy
my
Fieri's
God,
shirt.
No!
Now that's a cursed kimono.
Yeah, burn it. The fire began in Edo's Hongo district and spread quickly through the city due to hurricane-force winds, which were blowing from the northwest. The buildings were especially dry due to a drought the previous year, and the roads and other open spaces between buildings were small and narrow. On the second evening, the winds changed, and the fire was pushed from the southern edges of the city back towards its center. The homes of the shogun's closest retainers were destroyed as the fire made its way towards Edo Castle at the center of the city. The main keep was saved, but most of the outer buildings and all of the retainers' and servants' homes were destroyed.
Wow.
Finally, on the third day, the winds and flames died down, but thick smoke prevented movement about the city, removal of bodies, and reconstruction for several days further.
Wow.
So this was
Darn that kimono.
this was a big deal. Yeah. Reconstruction efforts took 2 years as the shogunate took the opportunity to reorganize the city according to various practical considerations. Streets were widened and some districts replanned and reorganized. Special care was taken to restore Edo's central merchant area, thus protecting and boosting the national economy, because we gotta think ahead about this sort of thing.
Right.
Commoners and samurai retainers alike were granted funds from the government for the rebuilding of their homes, and the restoration of the shogun's castle was left to be completed last, which is very gracious of him.
What's the way? He just lived in his summer palace.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'll just live over here in this other home I have. So, that basically the location of Edo is like one of the reasons why it's had more fires. It's also because of the huge population and the population density and people living so close to each other. But there also, we talked about I think we've talked about in other episodes, I know we have, the shogun and the artisans and life in Edo and how there was this large gamut of the haves and the have-nots. So like you got the shogunate and all of his lords, then you have the artisans and the merchants, and then you have the townsfolk, right? So another thing that was a problem was motivations so there was a lot of arson.
Okay.
Yeah, motivations.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
You're off the hook, accident-prone teenage girls.
Right. Motivations for arson varied, though the most prominent one was looting. And that's largely because some people, they just had nothing to lose. They were like, well, I'm going to loot, but to cover my tracks, I'm going to burn this place.
You could afford matches.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Other than looting, frequent motives were those such as servants seeking vengeance upon their masters and grudges due to failed romantic relationships. Also recorded were instances of merchants setting fire to competitors' businesses and children playing with fire. So that's cool.
This is basically murder.
Yeah.
Maybe not even of the person that you're trying to murder,
Yeah.
but you're going to murder somebody. I know this is the Edo period, but did that same attitude that we've talked about before on the show previously of like when you commit a crime in Japan, you kind of expect to get caught and you're going to be ready to tell everybody, no, look, this is why I did this.
Yeah, I think...
Did that exist back then too? Or did you think that you could get away with it? Because when you decide like, I'm going to burn the guy's house down, you're basically saying, I'm going to try to kill this guy. And then if people ask me, am I going to be like, yeah, I did it? Or I'd be like, oh, gee, I don't know where that came from. Because it seems like a real deniable crime because fires happen all the time.
It does seem really deniable. I don't totally know the answer to it. I mean, I think that like a lot of times there were some people who were just so poor that they felt like they had nothing to lose.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like, getting your head cut off it's a bonus probably if you're destitute and you have no hope of the future.
Well, arrested arsonists were paraded through the streets before they were
That part sucks.
burned to death
Oh,
because they had felt like the punishment
Japan.
needed to fit the crime.
you crazy.
Yeah.
That's like Silence.
Yeah.
Not the Silence
Not-
of Pharaoh 90.
not
I mean
the silence that's coming,
Martin
but-
Scorsese movie.
Yes.
Where the Japanese, and this happened in real life, are like, boy, you guys love this god of yours that was crucified on a cross.
Yeah.
Get on up there.
I know.
Go on.
I know.
Go for it.
It's really quite terrifying.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put a little bit of your spirit into everything.
I know.
How do you ironically kill a Shinto Japanese person?
Great question. I don't have an answer for that.
I'm going to talk to you on the bus. Loudly.
I'm gonna
Until
kill
you die
your
of shame
spirit
and
for
embarrassment.
your love of quiet. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm going to eat sushi with ketchup.
Oh,
And you're going to watch.
yes. I'm
No,
not.
take my head.
I'm not gonna slurp my noodles, and then you'll think that I don't
Yes.
think they're delicious.
Yes.
Yes.
Stick the stick straight up in the bowl.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Some arsonists became subjects of literature and kabuki plays.
Okay.
Yaoya Oshichi was a teenage girl who fell in love with Ikuta Shonosuke, a temple page, during the Great Fire in the Tenna era at Shosen-in, the family temple, Danadera. Oshichi lost her house in the fire, and she took shelter at the Shosen-in temple where she met Ikuta. The next year, she attempted arson, thinking she could meet him again if another fire occurred. That was her logic.
Hey, when you get a move, you stick with it.
I guess. She was arrested, tried, and executed by fire. Her story.
Did he show up?
What was that?
Did he show up
I don't know if he did.
when she got burned?
Great question. I don't know if he did.
That's the ironic. That's the Twilight Zone end.
I know,
Then he
right?
shows up to watch her burn to death.
That's pretty awful.
She's like, it worked. Dead.
I got his attention. He's here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, her story was the basis of Ihara Saikaku's novel Koshoku Gonin Onna, or in English, 5 Women Who Loved Love.
I'm just in love with love.
I know. So I don't know who.
Five women you meet at an arson.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking there's probably 4 other women that are in
The
this story.
5 women
but
you meet at a fire.
yeah. Her story is also the basis of many bunraku, which is the traditional puppet plays, and kabuki plays. There is a memorial to Oshichi at Enoji in Tokyo. Daionji in Tokyo has a Horoku Jizo, or a hot pot Jizo, with a cooking pot on its head to symbolically take away the heat from the fire of the stake that Oshichi was sentenced upon. Cooking pots and origami cranes are still offered to this day. So there you go.
They don't make like fire lighters with her face on them or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
That would be something else.
Well, they're so romantic, I mean, they love this story because of the tragic romance of it, and
Yes.
it's just so Japanese. Not to paint, everybody with the same ink wash brush, but whereas like the Britons are like, Guy Fawkes, yeah, we put that guy, we blow him up every year on the same day. Screw that guy. Honestly, I'm not super happy about Parliament myself, but I want to be mad about it.
Right.
I want it to be around still.
Right.
Also, I don't like Catholics.
That's the main thing.
I don't like them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
shove a firecracker up that guy's ass.
Yeah, I know. Since a fire also meant business for carpenters, plasterworkers, and steeplejacks for the reconstruction that would follow.
What's a steeplejack? What's a steeplejack, Precious?
A steeplejack is like the people who put the buildings together, is like a steeplejack.
Like an architect?
Yeah. Well, like the guys who build it.
Oh,
Like a construction worker.
okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a cyberpunk novel.
Oh,
Steeplejack.
it does kind of sound like a cyberpunk novel, but like the
All
guys
right.
who build the buildings.
The world is not as amazing as it is in my mind.
I'm sorry. But so some of them would delight at the occurrence of aggravation of fires. In particular, as many firefighters primarily worked as steeplejacks, some of them would intentionally spread fire for the sake of showing off firefighting skills in public or creating business opportunities for themselves.
Now we're talking.
Yes.
You got the corrupt firemen
Yes.
who's setting fires
Right.
to put them out.
Right. Exactly.
It's a syndrome situation.
Right. He didn't.
It's all Brad Bird today. The Incredibles. You create the problem, then you can solve it and be like, hey, check it out.
Right. He didn't start the fire, but he's going to spread the fire, and
I'm not going to touch
keep going.
a straight line.
Okay,
like
anyways.
that. No Billy Joel on this show.
Okay, moving on. This prompted the shogunate to issue warning ordinances and execute some offending firefighters. It's not good.
It went bad.
Yes. In the early Edo period, firefighting was not institutionalized. However, repetition of great fires became a turning point for the establishment of the hikeshi, or firefighting system. So hikeshi is the word for firefighters in Japanese.
Sure.
Firefighters under this system were classified generally into buke hikeshi, or samurai firefighters, and machi bikeshi, or chonin firefighters. So chonin, again, is townspeople.
Like volunteer firefighters?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Although later it wasn't, I'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
The Hikeshi's primary method of firefighting was to demolish buildings surrounding those already ablaze to prevent fire from spreading. During the Meiwa era, a type of wooden pump operated by manpower called ryudosui, or dragon spraying water, was used, but it never became a fully viable means of firefighting due to the fact that it was not a steady stream. So I mean, they have to continue
like a Windex
pumping.
bottle.
They have to continue pumping.
We're just gonna mist it. We'll just mist the whole thing down.
Yeah. So this isn't working, guys. The daimyo hikeshi were established in 1643, and the jobi keshi, who were for the samurai, were 1658. So the chonin, or the townspeople firefighters, they kind of had. They didn't
have the water.
Well, no, they weren't really organized, and there wasn't really a group organized to protect the townspeople. They were organized to protect the daimyo and the upper samurai.
Yeah.
And so eventually it was realized this is a problem. So in 1720, Tokugawa Yoshimune institutionalized machi bikeshi as part of the Kyoho reforms, and he ordered Machi Bugyo, or town commissioner Oka Tadasake, to establish new firefighting units that would be truly capable of protecting chonin residential areas.
Uh-huh.
So under the Machi Bikeshi system, each town was required to dispatch its chonin to firefighting tasks. 48 groups were formed to the west of the Sumida River. All of them except 4 were designated using single hiragana letters, and thus were collectively referred to as the iroha 48 gumi, or the 48 alphabetical groups. 16 other groups were formed in Honjo and Fukugawa to the east of the river. Each group had its own unique matoi, a flag-like identification object, and uniform. Rapport was usual within each group, but discord between groups was common as well. I did read that they could be very competitive with each other. Sometimes when a fire would start, different brigades would chase to see who could get there first, as kind of like a competition sort of thing, a friendly competition, and trying to prevent fire from spreading. But it is something that happened.
It's okay. So it's just professional pride then.
Yes.
Because in something like in the movie Gangs of New York, there's, the fire brigades are controlled by the gang bosses.
Sure.
And so they show up at your house fire, and you're like, please put it out. All my stuff's in there. And they're like, okay, now hold on, wait a minute first. Now you want him to put out your fire, but you can pay me, and I'm here right now, but you got to pay me 20% more.
Oh my God.
And he's like, where are the other guys? Okay, I'll pay you. Or it's like, oh, screw you, I'm not going to pay. Okay, fine. Well, I guess we'll just have a nice bonfire. Just watch this thing burn down.
I can't.
There had to be some corruption.
I was going to say, I can't guarantee that didn't happen.
All right. Gangs of Tokyo.
So they are described as heroes, but people also almost equally, not quite as equally, but they are ruffians. And somebody went so far as to say they were gangsters.
Ooh.
Nobody called them Yakuza, but
not too far off.
I don't know. So I am not going to confirm nor deny that there was probably some of that happening.
When did firefighting become not cool anymore? When the sprinkler was invented?
Possibly. Yeah. Maybe when they got merged into the police force.
Because it seems like they're like a real rough and tumble set.
They are.
And they're kind of heroic, and people are like, oh, these guys are cool, telling stories about these guys.
Yeah.
And now they just probably show up, ding, ding, like anywhere else. And it's like, all right, put the fire out.
Yeah,
nope,
absolutely.
Somebody just fell asleep, burned some noodles or something.
We do have the Fire Force, though, right?
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not Fire Force, another anime we talked about on Animedification. Once I thought that was weird. I'm like, superhero firefighters? Is this genius, or is there something else here? And when I learned about the heroic, firefighters of Edo, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Now, my new question is, why aren't there a million anime about firefighters? Right. So at some point it was just like, yeah, we get it. We're not really doing that anymore.
Yeah, and I wonder what the attitude is of them in Japan as a whole, but we'll get to that in a little bit too. Okay. Each firefighter in a given fighting group was given a special reversible coat called a hikeshi banten, which was plain except for the name of the brigade on one side and was adorned with lush imagery on the other. Made of several layers of quilted cotton fabric, these coats would be soaked in water to give the firefighters some protection from the fire. They also wore water-soaked hoods called hikeshi zuken. Really, really cool. We went to an art exhibit, and they had some of these banten and the hoods, and also they had some deerskin kimono coats that were made for them to wear in parades.
Yeah, they got like the symbols
really
of the fire companies on them. And then like on their helmets and jackets too, sometimes they'd have, like the word of what it is that they do. So if you're a pumper guy, it's got like, oh, that's the pumper team, because it says like pumper on their coats, or it's like, oh, these are the axe guys. It's got that on there. I thought that was cool.
That's cool. Firefighters were the most heavily tattooed people in Edo, proudly sporting irezumi, or traditional Japanese tattoo bodysuits. Tattoos had less stigma during the Edo period than they do today. They were still banned by the shogunate, but they were a way to show anti-government views or to communicate that you were a member of the floating world.
This is the movie right here.
I know.
Guy's a badass firefighter. He takes no prisoners. He drinks hard, but he's good. He's good at his job.
Right.
And then he finds out there's, they're putting out a fire, and in the ashes they find a body. And it's like, whose body is this? And then it leads to a murder investigation. Ooh. And then it's like, we'll just do Backdraft. Just do Backdraft, but in Edo period Japan.
I don't think I've seen Backdraft, but that's okay.
Okay. You're not missing a whole lot. It's okay.
All right.
It's not great. It's hard to like, you really have, there's no bad guy in a fire movie, right?
The fire's the bad guy.
Okay, there's an arsonist, but the fire's a monster. You have to make it like, how do you make like a bunch of guys just doing their job fighting a fire? Just do your job. How do you make that like, oh, they're wrestling with a real beast here? So you have to like really anthropomorphize the fire. So everybody's just like talking, getting all hot and bothered, talking about, oh, the fire, it'll get you. And then you can feel it. It talks to you sometimes. It's like, okay, just put the fire out. Come on.
Enough of this horsey business.
You got a hose.
Yeah, right.
It shoots water at the fire. No more fire.
That's right.
Come on. As we transition to the next part, I wanted to point out my next sticker. This sticker I really like this sticker. It's very simplistic, but I think it's very beautiful. It is a crescent moon And coming out of it is a silhouette of Luna. It's just her head and her body, her sexy shoulders, as we've established.
Oh my God.
And then, but a little moon on her forehead. So it's gold on purple on gold.
It's very classy.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. Itadakimasu with Usagi. What did Usagi eat in this episode? No food in this episode. We don't have time to eat. No food. Phil and Gage, we rate a baddie 1 to 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked. Oh boy. We got a lot to talk about today.
Let's do it.
So we have not only the Daemon to rate, but a Mistress 9 and a Pharaoh 90. So the gelatinous daemon in this episode is called Narasokonai. At least this is the name given to it in the materials, specifically in the Nakayoshi media book, which is geared towards kids. Narasokonai is a term that means, according to Tuxedo Unmasked, to fail in the midst of transformation or attempt to become something else. It's essentially a term that means to fail to do something. For their design, they're red and gelatinous and have a female form for a body. They join together to create a huge female daemon dome to protect Mistress 9 and the Deathbusters. Some trivia, some Sailor Moon sources refer to Narasokonai as ghost daemon. So
Why?
because I think they get transparent at
What
the
about
end.
Ooze Girls?
Ooze Girls would probably be more appropriate throughout.
I think we nailed it.
Yeah. So now we're up to our rating. Even though they are gelatinous and there isn't much to their overall design, they are a force to be reckoned with. I like that the Senshi and Sailor Moon have to fight them back twice. I also like that the Senshi decide that all they can do is prevent them from growing to a certain point, so they set up a perimeter. And they're nasty. Like, they fight as one mind, and they're just not polite. They bite and pull and hit and choke, and they're awful. When they are destroyed, you hear a bunch of lovelies, which is fantastic. So I'm gonna give these gals, one gal altogether, 4 out of 5 dark stars.
Interesting. Just one rating. Should be doing many, many ratings. What about that one that took down the helicopter?
Oh, sure.
What about that one that grabbed Ami's arm?
Sure.
What about that one that bit Jupiter on her boob?
I knew you were coming back to that one.
The SVU wants to talk to you. It feels weird to give these guys a rating. I mean, it's almost like they're the potential of... it's almost like they...
Yeah.
Narisokanai didn't become a bunch of other daemons, you know?
They did,
and so
exactly.
I would like to give it... I'd like to give it an incomplete, but, you know, that's not what we do. So I guess I'd just give it a 3,
Okay.
which is average. I mean... I think I would have really wanted to see them possess like a Mountain Dew machine or just, you know, turn into...
That would have been cool.
a
Possess
group of
bigger
other
things.
Yeah, just, you know, the hubcap lady with the hubcap boobs, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I guess that we got a lot of that. And if you think of them as also being the source of all the daemons that came before, in a way, you know, that's an interesting way, I think, to look at it. But other than that, like, they're just there to cause trouble. They're very effective in some parts. But I mean, the sailor shield can just hold them all back. And
Right.
so at that point, sure, they're kind of gaining on the sailors, but they don't really have like a raison d'etre like the other characters do, which is why I don't really consider them to be a daemon, but here we are.
Here we are.
They're daemon juice.
That's right.
And to the daemon juice, I award 3 dark stars.
Okay.
I'll take this pause in between our 2 ratings to give you a rating of this cute sticker I just got. There's a concept here. Now, I'm going to have to explain this to you. Hold on, everybody. So quiet down. It looks like it's a pocket. I think we've got a person. Usagi Tsukino, a.k.a. Sailor Moon, is within a pocket. So did she get hit with the Ant-Man thing?
She's a chibi.
Is she in a Giants Oxford shirt?
Yes.
There's remember pockets on shirts? I don't think they even do those anymore.
Good point.
Maybe they do for work
Sometimes.
shirts. Anyway, she's in a pocket on a shirt. She is leaning out of the pocket because, she dropped her cookie. So she's like, no, my cookie. And this cookie's falling down and her hair is coming out of the shirt pocket like she's a Japanese Rapunzel.
There's so many things
just say
happening in
Rapunzel.
that sticker. Yeah.
So, very cute. Little chibi Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Losing her cookies.
Yes. Losing her cookies. So Mistress 9, where did her name come from? There are theories, but no for sure explanation for the meaning behind her name. Do you remember how we talked about previously how the name Daemon comes from Greek mythology and they were viewed as lesser gods or guiding spirits?
Yes, I do.
Well, Tuxedo Unmasked has a theory that Nako might have looked at Greek history for inspiration for Mistress 9 and Pharaoh 90's names. There was a Greek practice of isopsephy, which, according to Wikipedia, quote, is the practice of adding up the number values of the letters in a word to form a single number.
Isopsephy.
Isopsephy, thank you. To do this, you take the order of each letter in the alphabet, give it the number for the order it is in the alphabet, then add all the numbers together. And this also should be done using the Greek alphabet, not our alphabet.
Yeah. It's Greek numerology.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
If you look at the letter with the value of 9, it is theta, which was thought of to be the symbol of death. This seems to fit Mistress 9 quite well.
Interesting.
Yes.
Also, the number of the beast, 666, is derived from gematria, which is Hebrew numerology.
Oh.
Or at least there's a theory that why is the number of the beast 666? Or, depending on your version of the Dead Sea Scrolls, if you've got the original manuscript, 616. And the reason is that if you do the gematria, Nero's name, Nero Caesar, turns out to be 666. So
Really?
there is, there are competing theories about what the hell Revelation is supposed to mean, period. But one of them is that it's not about the future. It's like Dante's Inferno, right? Dante gets kicked out of Florence or wherever he came from. And, it sounds like a lot of authority now when I go on, if I don't even know. And like everybody in the Divine Comedy is just him picking on people that, his political enemies and people that, said that his hat looked dumb at parties.
Right.
And we're like, oh, yes, there's 9 levels of hell. And Brutus is in the 9th level, chilling with Satan. And it's like, no, they're just all like people that are people really pissed off about Brutus still? I don't think so.
I don't know.
So, so the idea is that everything, all the nations, the beast, the Whore of Babylon, all of these things map directly onto first century AD Roman stuff because that's who was persecuting the hell out of the Christians at the time.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's a spell. It's upcasting a spell over all of you. It's all connected. It's all connected. And this is kind of connected in a similar way.
Right.
And we would come up with something like that.
Right. Well, and like you
Let's
said,
count up all the letters and words.
9 levels of hell. Mistress 9. That's another thing.
9 is every single digit number is like, oh, it's an important number. It's an important number in mythology. Well, there's only 9 of them. So yeah, I think at some point we could cram them all into religions somewhere.
Sure.
But I do think the 9 part is interesting. Not to mention the Celtic myth stuff that I talked about on our supplemental show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing you're thinking of. You can't make it all one thing. Other people are like, oh, she's just doing Norse mythology.
You gotta mix it up a little bit.
That's why that Daemon had a hammer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Here's a theory that I have also for Mistress 9's name, and I've seen other people say this as well, but I thought it as well. It's 9 because Saturn, if you don't count Chibiusa, is the 9th senshi. So I think that might also be, but again, these are all theories. Unless we hear it from Nako Sensei's mouth, we don't know. So,
do you think she remembers?
Great question.
She's getting in her Porsche.
She's like,
excuse me, Nako Sensei. Do you remember? What are you talking about?
I just like the number 9. It could be something like that. You know what I mean? I just like how it sounded.
It's my favorite number.
Yeah.
When I was growing up.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Leave me alone.
So her design, she is tall and slim, and when she gets the Holy Grail, she appears to be even taller than she was before. And she has long black straight hair, which grows so long that it lays on the floor. She also uses her hair as a weapon. She has purple, almost black eyes, a pale complexion, and wears purple lipstick. She wears a navy sleeveless top with a straight collar and plunging neckline. Across her chest and arms are a string of pearls, actually 2 strings of pearls, which match her pearl earrings. She wears a long black skirt that drapes over the floor, and a black star sometimes appears on her forehead. So it's ratings time. I like her overall design. I love her outfit and that her appearance is different from Hotaru's. I think that she's incredibly evil and powerful. I love her laugh. I like that she uses her hair as a weapon as well. I like that Mistress 9 struggles to keep Hotaru at bay. She is iconic, and I also love her. I love her for that reason. So even though she isn't around for very long, I think she's very powerful, and I'm going to give her 5 out of 5 dark stars.
Nice. You know, I was just kind of cruising around and I found that the characters that make up 9 also can represent yang, as in opposition to yin.
Okay.
Which is 6, 9. Nice.
That works, yeah.
And 6 is Roku, because the guy that made Roku, that's like the 6th company that he started or something. So that's why it's called Roku. Rich people, right?
I know.
So, like, I don't know, like, yang is often thought as being, like, negative. It isn't negative necessarily, but it is the force in opposition to the masculine force, right? There's, there's like again, it isn't this exactly, but there's like a, a positive or like a forward force, a forceful force. And then there's like the softer, so there's the sun and the moon.
Yes.
Right? There's male and female. Mm-hmm. And so she, as yang, as 9 in this case, is like, the opposition force to the kinder,
sweeter
female moon, force of the senshi.
Mm-hmm. And of Hotaru, too.
Wow, if I didn't already have a sticker, I'd give myself one for that. And the last one I got is a classic. It is pink. It's a yellow moon on a pink background, a white silhouette of our girl, Sailor Moon, doing a dance. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she's doing in this pose. She's like, it's just a graceful pose. Oh, that's right. She's like jumping up in the air. And so she's probably naked right here, but that's okay. Or just topless. That's fine.
She's got her skirt on.
Well, I guess it's my turn to give a rating. What else is it going to be but 4?
You're going to give her a 4.
Yeah, I thought she was all right.
Oh, okay.
I don't think she compared to even Karanite. She just gets started too late. I mean, I'm not rating Hotaru. I'm rating Mistress 9, a person that we met 3 episodes ago and have spent a grand total of maybe 25 minutes with, tops. I think the hair thing is cool. I already talked about the kind of 90s comics element of it. I don't know why all these girls have to become buxom women when they become evil. I think it's a little weird.
Look
and
at
it's not my
Naoko-sensei.
favorite. Is she buxom?
No, I'm just saying that.
I was like, slow down.
I'm just saying she's the one who wrote the comic.
Where's that Porsche headed next? But I like overall in any other season, and I know we've got like the circus coming up or something, but in any other season, okay, nice. In any other season, I think Simple, Black, and the Pearls. Like if I was going to a cocktail party, perfect.
Yeah.
But she's going up against evil acrobats. She's going up against harem pants. Everybody has, I don't know how you top all that. Maybe the way to top all that, Coco Chanel, is to just strip down, right? Mm-hmm. Not naked. I mean, just like, strip down in terms of what you're presenting.
Right.
But also maybe you could find a way to even top what they've got. Mm-hmm. And so this design's a little too simple. She's just generally evil. I like the struggle for her soul that happens, but I wish it could have been... You don't want a whole scene where she's talking to her older self in her head or something like that, or they're wrestling or something like that. But it's just a little too... It all, like a lot of Sailor Moon seasons, it all happens a little too fast at the end.
Yeah.
And so, hey, it's a 4. You're not losing out here. You are a solid B in the world of Sailor Moon.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
Whoa. Let down.
A little bit, but I'm not totally surprised because I know you were not a huge fan of Black Lady either. So there you go.
Actually, I think I like Black Lady more than I like. Black
Really?
Lady, 4.1.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
assuming I gave Black Lady a 4.
I don't remember.
I don't remember
to be
either.
perfectly honest. Well, let's talk about Pharaoh 90's name. There are also theories, but no for sure explanations for the meaning behind his name. Going back to the numerology of isopsephy, and this is going back to Tuxedo Mask's theory. The number.
Why doesn't he just sponsor the show?
No. The number 90 matches with the Greek letter kappa, which it's Koppa and or Qoppa.
Kappa walk.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Which it basically it's no longer utilized and it hasn't been for a while, but it is now a number. And while it's challenging to find a meaning for kappa that's straightforward, everyone seems to agree that it relates to, quote, piercing a veil. And the veil could be anything from truth, darkness, ignorance, and more. So Pharaoh 90 could be seen as piercing a veil between the Tau star system and our own satellite system.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
Yeah, I know.
No, where do you come up with this
Where
stuff?
do I come up with it? It's just like what else could piercing the veil mean?
Well, apparently it has a Semitic root. And in Semitic languages, specifically Phoenician and Hebrew, it's, in fact, the very shape of it, because remember, back in the old days, words were pictures, right?
Yeah.
Now they're completely abstracted. A tree does not look like a tree.
Yeah.
But words were also pictures in a lot of cases. And so it looks like a needle.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kopf is a needle, the idea of piercing or something that pierces.
Okay. So it's a needle.
Yeah.
So here's another fan theory. If you take a look at the connections between Grail mythology, there's an association.
Huh. Okay. No, hold on. Hold on.
Which
Slow
you
down.
did.
Slow down for us in the cheap seats here.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Which you did.
Okay. All right.
So, and you talked about a lot of this. So there's an association with Arthurian legend, the Templar, the Egyptians, and the Freemasons.
Well, I mean, I didn't get that far down.
Well, okay.
That's just hokum.
Okay. But according to the book Revelation of the Holy Grail, quote, another Masonic symbol is the emblem of the Master of a Lodge, which is a square made of 90 degrees. The word mana in Hebrew has a numeric value of 90, thus relating to the degrees of the Master's emblem. So you could infer from that the sign of the number associated with a master in Freemasons is 90.
Naoko Takeuchi, big Freemason buff.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But she could have
Whenever
gotten there. Possibly.
Freemasons is conspiracy bedrock. When you hit
Okay.
Freemasons,
You've gone too far.
stop digging.
Okay.
Yeah. It is totally possible that somebody was like, ooh, and then the connections and then the Freemasons, because they show up in a lot of stuff. But when you're like, ooh, the connections and maybe this and then oh, it was a Freemason thing. Like that's you've delved too greedily and too deep.
Okay. All right. You reminded me of something when you said that sometimes numbers are based on the shapes that they represent and everything.
Yeah.
The magatama, which is the bead that is important in Japanese society because it's part of the jewels, the three. Why can't I think of the
Talismans.
The talismans.
Well, talismans in the show.
It's essentially
the treasures.
Yeah, and that same shape, that kama shape, is tomoe, is what it's called, especially when it's arranged in 3 together. So that's Hotaru's last name. So that could also be why she is named Mistress 9.
I think that's maybe what it is.
Yeah.
Because her name is Kama.
Yeah.
And
I
then
know.
Mistress 9, the Kama shape. Also, that Kama shape is part of the yin yang,
It is.
which we pointed out before. So tell Tuxedo Unmasked to put that in his top hat and smoke it.
Okay. I'll tell him to do that.
We nailed it.
All right. Pharaoh 90's design.
What?
I mean...
He had a design?
In the anime, he's just a swirling red being, not much to his design.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but what was he like in the manga?
He was just kind of like, I think he might have been like a swirling nebula as well, but he had a lot. If you want an exposition dump.
You want an exposition dump.
He's going to give it to you.
Oh, really?
He actually talked.
He's got lines?
He's got lines.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and also in the manga, Mistress 9's true form was similar to Pharaoh 90's. So she kind of like, instead of like her true form being what we see, it was like
right.
the
yeah, we don't really deal with, I mean, there's a possession here, but we don't really deal with, you know, Hotaru's body. And actually,
not really.
Got a lot of questions that hopefully will be answered in the next hour of the program. But yeah, she just sort of like dissolves. Then it's like, okay, so no flower monster with this one?
Apparently not.
Hana Youma?
Yeah, right. Right. The
Hana Youma Dango.
There
Flowers,
you go.
monsters, boys.
That works. It's all the Yoma are wearing flowers. And so we gotta rate this guy. He has a cool name and he's really powerful. For a big bad, he's kind of weak sauce. I mean, he's powerful, but we don't really learn much about him or see what he can do. And we didn't even know that he existed until the episode right before this. So as big bads go, he's kind of really disappointing. So I'm going to give him 2 out of 5 dark stars.
I think it's going to be a 2 for me as well. You know, like even like Death Phantom, you know, won me over a little bit, but yeah, showing up at the end and not doing much is not going to get you a very high letter grade.
No.
He didn't wear his hat. I thought he was going to wear his big hat, cowboy hat. But I mean, I guess the idea is cool. And then once you see that, like, remember, and this is like, this predates Interstellar, but remember Interstellar?
Yes.
Remember that? And like how there's the wormhole that they go through in Interstellar is nominally spherical in shape, but it really is like, that is the portal. It's not like the sphere is the portal. So as you get closer, you are seeing in the sphere, the backside of what would be in the sphere. It's like, it's a whole messed up perspective kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I like the idea that like, we'll never know the true nature of Pharaoh 90, but he is some kind of sphere thing. And there is some kind of small universe in here. But once he doesn't like, it's not like a door opens. Clearly like the star was for him to get out, I guess, maybe of the top of the building. But like once he emerges from the sphere, it's not like a door opens in the sphere or something like that. He just sort of like fills up the sphere and sort of like transcends the sphere, like, you know, 4-dimensionally tessellating out of the sphere. Like he kind of becomes the sphere, and then he is growing. Now he is outside of the sphere and he's pushing the earth and the concrete and the building away until he sort of pops out of it, you know? And I thought that was really cool.
And he almost like hit, like, or does he actually, I can't remember now, does he actually hit Mistress 9? Or he almost did, and then Usagi got in the way.
Well, he's shooting.
Usagi blocked her. But
out.
she's like supposed to be like his like second in command.
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
Yeah.
As we have seen. As was embodied in Garmatroid, there is a complete lack of, you know, care or concern for subordinates.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Mistress 9 thought she was getting out of this deal.
I don't know.
We will never know.
No.
Because we never met the demon that was Mistress 9, really.
Not really.
She was just part of Tomoe until she was dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
So come on, guys. Get your act together. You're never going to take over another universe like this. I give you 2 points. And may God have mercy on your soul.
That's right. Now we're up to our rating. I like that even though Neptune and Uranus are being strangled to death, they are still fighting for what they believe in.
We're trapped in a leg.
Even if they're wrong.
But we're brave.
That's right.
And we hate weak people.
That's right. I like that Hotaru is still fighting Mistress 9 inside of her, and that she is able to hold on because of the love she has for her father and leader Chibiusa. I like that Sailor Moon is not going to give up on Hotaru as long as there is still a chance she can save her. I like that as soon as Mistress 9 gets her hands on the Holy Grail, we get a huge evil laugh, because of course we do. I like that Hotaru is able to destroy Mistress 9 and become Sailor Saturn because of her love of her father and Chibiusa. I love that Saturn's spirit gives Chibiusa back her pure heart. I love how all the Senshi lend Sailor Moon their powers, and then she is able to transform into Super Sailor Moon, and she's able to enter the Tau star system to fight Pharaoh 90. I do wish we could have actually seen Saturn fighting or Super Sailor Moon fighting the big bad, though. That's my one little thing. But I am haunted by the image of a battled Super Sailor Moon who looks like she's dead in the eyes, holding a baby Hotaru. And I'm going to give this 5 out of 5 roses.
That's right there. That's your pitch. It's like, all right, Sailor Moon in a post-apocalyptic future.
That's right.
She has to take care of this baby who's the hope for human. No, wait, that's Cable and Hope. They already did that. That's in the X-Men. They did that already. Never mind. Look, they can steal ideas, so can I. It's a 5. Obviously, it's a 5. How could this be a 5 when the enemies are 3 and 2? Or 4 and 2? I don't know. It's just more than the sum of its parts. We also have that thing that we always talk about where it's like, well, I mean, it's just 35 episodes all leading up to this. So I guess if those all sucked, then this would suck. But a lot of those didn't suck. And so this is magnified through them. And plus, like, I love the fact, as I mentioned before, that it remains true to the whole point, the theme of the series, which is, do the right thing and be good and don't be cruel and mean and evil. It's very Doctor Who in that way.
It is. If
Doctor Who ever transformed and put a skirt on and then, like, sometimes Sailor Moon kicked people, which, depending on the era, absolutely did. And so I like it for all those reasons. And even when Uranus is like, you idiot, it's like, she's fighting for you. You spent the entire fight in a leg. And she is not only trying to save Hotaru's life, she would do the exact same thing for you.
She absolutely would.
So, like, I'm a little worried. When are you going to learn this lesson, Chicky Babe? Like, when are you going to, like, stop being this person? We're not going to go into the next year of you going like, oh, it's a baby, kill it. Oh, it's fine.
Oh my God.
Oh, do you have a baby? Oh, she's back with a baby. When did we kill it? Like, knock that off. We gotta grow and change. But yeah, I mean, absolutely a 5, especially just you got the touch scene alone, pushes this thing up to a 5.
So my English title is Messiah Full of Hope, Rebirth.
What's this Messiah full of? It's full of hope. Oh, good.
I packed mine full of Lisa Frank. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, well, the last one was full of ants, and that was a disaster. I did something, well, I'm going to kill a little time here. I did something I don't usually do. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's all the doom and the gloom and the apocalypse and the hey and the ho and it hurts me. But I was kind of thinking this was going to be bad.
Okay.
I thought I was going to let me down.
Okay.
2 out of 3. It's not like the rest of them have let me down, but I felt like Sailor Moon couldn't keep winning like this. There's no way. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of sat down before I'd even seen the episode and put together some of my best bitchy movie critic review titles.
Oh, okay.
This actually turned out to be true because Pharaoh 90, not Villainous Interruptus.
Yeah.
So that's why I had Balk Like an Egyptian.
That's a good one.
Also, this has kind of gone on for a while, so I thought maybe Total Ellipse of the Heart would be a good title related to the song titles that I've used in the past. And then also, if it just stretched on for too long and it wasn't that interesting, I would just be like Armageddon tired of this.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But such as it is, it was amazing. It got 5 stars and it deserves, in the idiom with which I have selected to title these things this year on the show, that is to say, classic rock songs and bangers. You need an absolute banger that starts kind of slow and then it's just lighters in the air by the end when Sailor Moon spreads those wings and just goes to kick some ass. Mm-hmm. And so the only power ballad that could fit this is the Night Ranger song, which I'm going to tweak a little bit, called Sister Christian Apocalypse.
Next episode, we are talking about episode number 126. Atarashiki Inochi, Ume no Hoshiboshi Wakare no Toki in Japanese. A New Life, Parting of the Stars of Destiny, the English translation, and the English title, Second Chance.
Second chance.
Yeah.
It is a singular second chance.
It is.
It isn't that the Outer Senshi are getting a second chance on life because their mission is complete. It's just one person gets a second chance. Or maybe it's a collective second chance, and we're all getting a second chance, really.
It might be that latter one.
You know, there's somebody else who got a second chance.
Yeah?
When the stone was rolled away. And you fall for this every time. Look.
Yes, I do. I'm a very gullible
We're
person.
going to have to talk about second chance in the future. But in the present, I want to talk about one of the reviews that we got on iTunes. We got a couple, and we're going to be reading them over the successive weeks of the show as we close down our S store. Do you know we were running a store?
I did not, but...
I've been manning the counter this entire time. You've been on break.
Whoopsie.
And this review comes from user Hart Palmaris. It goes like this. I have been a Sailor Moon fan since it first aired in Brazil. I never had the experience of watching the show as it originally aired in the US, but Sailor Noob really does bring back memories of watching the show for the first time. The podcast is funny, informative, and adds a lot to my experience of rewatching the entire show from beginning to end. Furthermore, as a visually impaired individual who lost his vision after experiencing the show visually on Brazilian TV, I find the way the episodes are described and summarized invoke amazing images and memories. In addition, the Patreon is a great supplement. By far the best Sailor Moon podcast I have found. Always 5 out of 5 red roses.
Aw, thank you so much.
So that's a rating. We're not stars. We're not villains in this case. Yeah, thanks so much. And such nice words, and more words than I have ever written, I think, for a review of a podcast that I've done.
That's
I'm
entirely fair.
It's pretty good.
You should watch this.
And then the person
or listen to this.
writing that review or doing that podcast is like, all right, I guess they liked it. So thank you for telling us specifically what you enjoyed about it. Yeah, thanks so much. We always enjoy hearing from the fans, and we've got a couple other reviews that we'll be reading on future shows in future weeks. 75%.
75%.
3/4 of the way.
That's right.
And it's all downhill from here.
That's right. Well, that's our show for this week, and the Name of the Moon will be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
I didn't hear you. I was counting these stickers here. 4, 5.